All right, part 4 as promised. So now is when your loan process starts. This is where a lot of people talk about, oh, the paperwork and it was so much. This is kind of where they're talking about. Now that you got the house under contract, you got the home inspection ordered with your realtor, and the lender has now gotten a copy of your purchase agreement. This is when your lender is now going to get back involved, like I said, and they're going to be ordering your appraisal. Okay? What's the difference between your home inspection that I just mentioned and your appraisal? Two completely different things. Your inspection is not required, but it's highly recommended. You'll pick out your inspector with your realtor. They will then go out to the house to check stuff like the furnace, the AC, the roof, the electrical, right, the landscaping, anything on the house that might be broken or that there could be something bad and wrong with the house. Now, a lender's not going to need this home inspection. They're usually a couple $100, but you get to pick, and you set that up separately with your realtor. Once that's done, usually that's the green light. You get that back, you go over to the house with the inspector. If you like everything and there's nothing too bad with the house and you want to keep moving forward, pay for your inspection, the loan process continues. That's the home inspection. Now the appraisal is what your lender is going to order for you. You don't have to order it. Nobody else is going to order it. Your lender is required, and it's 100% on the lender because they have to use a compliant random rotation of local appraisers in your area. Whoever's up next gets it. Takes about a week or two to get back. That appraiser is going to go to the house now, just like the inspector did, to evaluate to see what the house is worth, if it's worth what you're paying for, and also they'll do a small safety check. Some big things like the roof, is there any mold, any water damage? They're going to look at some things to make sure that the house is able to be closed on as well. They won't go in as in depth as the inspector did, but they will look at a couple things. So, take note, if you're doing a government home loan, FHA, VA, USDA rural development, those appraisers that have their government license, they're also going to look for stuff like chipping and peeling paint, anything cracked, broken, or missing, any electrical wires hanging, any mold, water damage, missing handrails, landscaping that is like heaving into the house, or any shingles that are peeling. If there's anything like this going on with the house, those government home loans are going to require that appraiser to flag them, and those are actually going to have to be fixed before you can buy the house. Yes. Some real estate agents and some sellers, if you're doing a for sale by owner, won't know this, pass by this, and then this will come up during the loan process. So here's something to really know, because you probably haven't went through the process yet because you're going through this course. If you're doing a government home loan and you're going to the house, make sure you talk to your real estate agent and your lender as you're checking out the house. Hey, we noticed some things. Would any of these things get flagged on the appraisal? Perfect time to talk about it. A good lender like myself, I always bring it up at the beginning before we even order it, so we can catch it early, ask the buyer or seller to fix it before we get the appraisal going so it doesn't delay your closing. This is huge. Huge, huge, huge. One of the biggest common things I see first-time home buyers and real estate agents across the country miss because they're excited, they're going too fast, they get the house under contract, and they're like, let's see what the appraisal brings up. Check these things early so you don't run into a last-minute delay. Now, during the loan process, your lender's now going to send you some documents that you'll get to DocuSign, like your application, your loan estimate, your intent to proceed, a couple documents that you'll get to sign to start the processing. Then they'll probably want some updated documentation from you, like an updated pay stub, maybe an updated bank statement to show where the money's coming from for closing. This is also when you have to call and set up your insurance, because you got the house under contract now. So talking about that insurance agent, in that last part, this is when you'll lock in your insurance as well. So basically, I like to call it a little bit of a paperwork party. So important you get this into your lender in the first couple days once you got under contract, so there's no delays in processing and underwriting. Your lender now will take all these documents and send them down to their underwriting department to review to make sure the income is what you say it is, the application is true, the purchase agreement is filled out, right? All your documents are there, and they'll go through to see if anything's missing. That takes about a few days to do. Then they'll come back to you, the lender, and say, hey, Mr. Client, Mrs. Client, couple things underwriting caught or saw or still need. They'll ask you then for a second list. I've done this 12 years now. You don't just ever send documents in and you're just perfect and it's good and it's easy and you're done. That's not how the loan process or underwriting ever has worked, no matter out of all the 5,000s of loans I've closed. You will still need a second or third list. Totally normal. This is the paperwork party I told you. They'll ask for another list. You'll get a couple more documents into the lender, get it in right away, and most lenders will now take it all electronically. So you get to email it, upload it. Sometimes we'll even take text message pictures of documents, as long as we keep your information safe, of course. And then once you get everything in, the lender will say, we've got everything in, the appraisal's in now, it's good, title work's in, your insurance is now in, our underwriter's now just clear to close your file. What clear to close means is everything's done. Everything. Which this loan process, a lot of you might be wondering, how long does this take? About a month. Right about a month is average. Some people can get it done though in 2 to 3 weeks, because appraisals take 1 to 2 weeks. But some people take about 30 to 45 days, depending on if the house is, out of town or if there's a lot of moving parts going on. But on average, this loan process, expect to take right about a month. Once the clear to close is done, the lender will call you and say, we're clear to close. When do you want to close? Or we'll already know the date. Either one. You'll set the date. You'll then schedule it, the time, the day. You'll head over to the title company with you, the seller, the realtors. The lenders usually don't show up to closing because they don't really need to, because the money's already there. But you'll show up on the closing day. You'll need to sign some closing documents. Not too many. Your hand won't hurt too much. Bring in a form of ID. And then this is so important, that finishes the loan process. Let's say you needed a down payment or some closing costs. You'll need to bring it in the form of a cashier's check or a bank account or a wire transfer directly to the title company. You can't just bring in cash, okay? And personal checks are not also accepted by title companies due to good funds law. So you'll bring in your money, you'll bring in your form of ID, usually a driver's license, you'll sign the final papers. In that day, on the closing day, is when you'll get the keys and you'll officially be an owner. On to the next part.